Hello there. If you have found this channel, I would safely assume that you are somebody that is on the twin flame journey. Whether you just discovered this and you are jumping down the rabbit hole looking for answers, or if you're somebody who's been on the journey and you're looking to diversify your content, welcome. I am someone who has been on the journey for, I'd say maybe 9 months. Not super long, but, well, technically, since I met my twin flame, it would be 12 years, but since I've come to understand what these terms mean, about 9 months. Anyways, I am creating this podcast because, like you, I was searching for answers at one point when this all started because, well, if you're on this journey, then you know, it makes no sense. It makes no sense, but it makes all the sense. And even though my time with this journey is seemingly short, I feel like I have a perspective that's a little different from most people. And I think that I've used my situation to alchemize a lot. Through all the pain that I've been through, I feel like I've experienced a lot more joy, and I've come into a version of myself that I love more than anything. And I truly believe that that's what the twin flame journey is truly meant for. It's to come into union with ourselves. I don't know if that also means that the potential to come into union with your flame is possible. I think it is. I've heard a couple stories of people who have come into union. But honestly, sometimes it's hard to tell. And I think that's what I'm making this for. To not only offer, I guess, the wisdom that I've gained through being on this journey, but to also document my experience. I do hope to come into union with my person. I believe that it's possible. But I also believe that the entire purpose of this even happening is because there is something bigger than myself that I was supposed to awaken to. And so here I am, recording this. So I guess for this episode, since it's the beginning, I think I will just talk about kind of what I understand of the different soul union terms. So if you maybe haven't been on the journey, maybe this is your very first video. If so, you're in for a ride. But there are, I think, 3 types of main connections that we experience on this earth. So one would be karmic. I think everything in a sense is karmic, but I guess karmic in the sense that is a little more of a painful kind of karmic, or a soul union that's written into your life specifically to grow you, to an experience that teaches you from, I guess, a negative aspect. for lack of a better term. So those are the ones that just really hurt. And typically from what I understand of a karmic relationship, it spends most of the relationship like that. Maybe not most, but it's an encounter that really shifts you. For a lot of people, I think a lot of people get stuck in karmic loops. And sometimes this pain can be really long, or it could be shorter, depending on how long it takes you to kind of wake up and realize that you want something different for yourself. That's my take on it. Then there is soulmates. These are the types that heal you, or the type of soul connection that heals you. It's what we mostly see in movies. By the way, when I'm talking about these different relationships, they are not limited to love. These are definitely in many people in your life, whether it's familial, friendship, even people that you have encounters with at work. Yeah. Anyways, going back to soulmates. Soulmates is harmonious. They heal you. They are rooted out of love. And yeah, I feel like they're more nurturing, and they teach you out of goodness, I want to say. So where does that leave twin flame? I personally believe that twin flames are an oscillation of both. I believe they are a connection to one particular person that is meant to teach you through both. I think, or something that's commonly said is that it's one soul split into two bodies. I'm not sure if every single person has a twin flame. I think it would make sense, but I just don't think everyone gets to wake up to that. So something I will say is, if you are on this journey, no matter how much it hurts, I do think it's a blessing to experience this. But I think what's different about a twin flame connection is, yeah, like I said, it's one soul split into two. There is typically a telepathic type of invisible bond between two people. It's somebody who naturally just kind of is always there, I want to say, in your life, or just shows up repeatedly in different ways. They are somebody that's just connected to you. For myself, as I said, the person that I'm connected to, I've known for about 12 years, maybe a little bit over. And he's someone that has shown up repeatedly, even though for the majority of the 12 years, I'd say we were more so friends or acquaintances. I don't know if I should start another episode to tell you my story, but yeah, I think that's what I'll do. But I'll leave it there. for the purposes of explaining what I think a twin flame is. Somebody who you have like an invisible tether to, and you're meant to trigger each other to ascend, to awaken, and to become a higher version of yourself. I believe that it does work like a mirror, and the more one person works on themselves, the other person follows. As I've come to understand it, I'd like to disclaim that I believe everybody has feminine and masculine energies, but of course, I think that it's dominant, or one is more dominant than the other in most people, and I think that for twin flames, there is a masculine and there is a feminine. So from what I understand is the feminine wakes up first and the masculine decides when it's time for union. I heard that from one of my favorite twin flame tarot readers. I believe it's Lunar Eclipse Tarot on here. Go check her out. But yeah, I don't know if I can explain this better. I think this is something that I probably should have written out or something. I don't know. I had this overwhelming kind of insight, this pull to making this. So I didn't think too hard about it when I started or when I hit record. But okay, so yeah, I was talking about feminine and masculine. I believe the things that we're supposed to learn from each other is how to balance these energies out. We trigger each other so that we can heal wounds within ourselves and so that we can come into our divine purpose. And yeah, I truly believe that's a gift. Like I said earlier, the version of myself that I am now, I can only attribute meeting this version of myself because my person triggered me. And while there were times where it was super painful, it really forced me to look at myself. It is the reason why I'm calling this Echoes in the Mirror. It's because when I look at my person, and I've just learned to look at everything as a way to see myself. I look at all the things that I don't like about him, all the things that I guess have driven him through fear, the things that caused him to push me away. And I see where that is within myself. But I also see the things that I really love about him, and I recognize those things as the things that I want within myself. And yeah, I just think that if more people looked at the journey more like that, rather than focusing on why their person isn't contacting them and what they can do to make their person contact them. I think that the more that you work on yourself and the more that you rise, it forces them to rise. And then I think once you're living in divine purpose, that's when you have the ability to become in union. Of course, I don't know that for sure, but that's just what I intuitively have gotten from this. And again, I'm making this content because, yeah, there's just so much out there. I think that there's a lot of people who make their content from out of pain. And I think there's a lot of people who focus too much on the wrong things. And I don't see too many people who, yeah, I guess talk about this with the sole focus on the self. For myself, I followed a lot of tarot readers. Also, I think there's a lot of people out there who speak on this journey that haven't been on this journey. For myself, at least, it's really easy to tell who hasn't been on the journey. Because, yeah, I've seen some crazy fucking definitions. Like, there's some people who are like, everyone. There was one person that I've seen that was just like, yes, everyone is technically a twin flame. Or it sounded like they were describing karmic relationships, but they were saying that, yes, everyone is a twin flame. And then I think there's a lot of people who kind of see it as, I don't know, steps, as a step in the journey. Yeah, there's a lot of people who just kind of dismiss it. I think the people who dismiss it are definitely people who haven't been in it, don't understand it. That's why there's so many people out there that have heard the term and dismiss it as toxic, because, I mean, honestly, it does sound toxic. But if you're looking at it the way that I guess I'm looking at it, and you look at it as a way back to yourself, or a way to the highest version of yourself, it's not going to be toxic. I think there's a lot of people who also just maybe mix it up with something that's karmic, with something that is actually toxic. I think, because what I think is, all right, let me go back a little bit. So the typical twin flame journey is, it's a relationship that sounds like on again, off again. It's where you meet, you have an intense attraction to each other, and then you separate. And then maybe you meet again and you separate again. I think it happens I think separation happens at least twice, I want to say. It's a chaser-runner dynamic. But I think whereas there are some people who do this, or who have a chaser-runner dynamic, and it's more of an ego thing, I think this is more driven by fear. At least that's how I've experienced it. I think in the beginning I was the runner, and the dynamic switched this time around, and now he's the runner. But again, it's out of fear. It's out of the fear of not being good enough. It's out of the fear of experiencing something super intense and, yeah, seeing yourself in a person and feeling triggered by that. So then you run, rather than running because you want to be chased, or running because it's a manipulation tactic. I don't think that there's any conscious manipulation as part of this dynamic. I don't think that twin flames are supposed to be toxic in that sense. But I understand why it is confused for that. Because, yeah, I mean, the pain becomes so great. It's understandable. And then I think it makes people do weird things. Like, I think sometimes some people who run, they try to bury themselves in another person because maybe it's just easier, you know? It's easier to try to fill the void with somebody else rather than to face whatever it is that triggered you in the first place. I think I have another friend who kind of went through this dynamic. I've seen the other side of the chaser dynamic. I think I've been there too. I just said that. I've been there too, but yeah, I don't think it's ever really just like with the intentions to hurt the other person. I think it's more of a defense mechanism, and that's why, and it's just misunderstood. I think that's where people just kind of dismiss it as toxic because it can be read that way. But if you're actually on this journey and you have that other sense, that connectivity to the other person, there's a part of you that just knows that they're scared. And there's a part of you that just can't sever that connection. I don't believe in cord cutting. I don't believe it's a real thing. Like, of course, I think that you can mentally shut the other person out, but if you've watched the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, I believe it's kind of like that. I believe that no matter how hard you try to sever that connection, it's something rooted in spirit. And that's what makes it so different from any other connection is it's there. It's just there. It's something that it spans time and space. It's something this is somebody that you can feel past lives with. It's something that just transcends time and space. I don't know what else I don't know what else I could say about that. So yeah, it's like don't pay people to try to break that cord, because I swear to God, you're wasting your money. Maybe mentally you'll be able to block it out for a little bit, but the universe works how the universe works. If that person is supposed to teach you something, the universe will find a way to bring that person back around. Anyways, I think that's all I have to say for this episode. So I hope my insight gives you something to think about. And yeah, thanks for listening. Take care. Bye.